let's talk about straps. And by straps, I mean NATO straps. I have gone through so many straps of different colors, of different thicknesses, of different manufacturers, from China, of course, where you can get these on Aliexpress for as little as a couple dollars each, $4.99, $3.99 each. Different materials. This is a seat belt strap. This is a classic NATO right here. I have torn through so many of these different straps. I thought I would give my review on them and their differences in no true organized fashion, other than to say, I think I know which one is my favorite and which ones most certainly are not my favorites. So with that said, and that disclosure, the big secret, if you don't want to watch it all the way to the end, is that there are different straps, of course, different styles. NATO style, classic NATO, has two pieces of material. And when you wear that on your wrist, the watch is on top of two pieces of material. It makes that stand up taller. So if you got a 13 millimeter watch that's 13 millimeters thick, it will be 15 millimeter. You gotta take that into consideration. Now that's number one. Number two, there's a difference in material. You have watch straps that are a solid nylon material that are NATO, and that are single pass like this. This means the watch stands on top of this particular piece of material. NATOs are very popular because they are, I would say, durable, and the idea is that if your watch is attached via one side or the other, if you were to have a problem and one of the spring bars was to break, the other one would hang on and the strap would stay on your wrist. That sounds great. I love that. Of course, there are some that are a little bit thinner. This one's much thinner than this one. This is, I call it the Bond style because it's got the two gray stripes. A little bit thicker. These are both coming out of China and through Amazon, by the way. This one is very thin, very nimble. Goes great because you can change the color of the strap. Very easy to change, very easy to swap, all of that. Now, the big secret is whether or not there is elastic in the strap. I will say I came upon the idea of an elastic NATO strap in a single pass or double pass fashion. I don't know that it matters. The elastic makes a big difference in wearability, comfort, all that. So, of course, these have no elastic. There is no give. Not that they're uncomfortable, but if comfort is your primary goal, these with a little bit of elastic, I have found to be very, very good. I'm going to add a few links into the description here about what straps I like, where I got them, etc. So don't get lost in all that, because I certainly was. But again, different materials. This is what they call the seatbelt style, and it definitely feels like a seatbelt. Very thick. It is, I would imagine, all nylon. However, smooth. Not nearly as rough as this particular strap. I don't know if you can see the difference in the way they're laid out, but softer, a little more supple, maybe even a little bit thinner than this particular one. But those straps that have a little bit of elastic, I have found wearing them on every watch I could find in different widths and everything. They are very different. Now, when it comes to straps you get that come as a NATO strap in a classic sense, it's very easy to change them from a classic NATO to a single pass like this. And I will say this goes very well on this little khaki king that I've got. Oh, so nice. Well, all I did was I cut off the extra little bit. You just cut it off with a pair of scissors. Tons of videos on YouTube about that. And then you just use a lighter, melt this little edge so the fringe does not fray, I guess I would say. And I will say you don't want to get too close to the stitches here because it will probably fall apart. These are cheap. These are a few dollars a piece, and you can swap out colors. It's very easy to do so, and I will even try to show you how to do that in just a second. But let me talk about what I have found to be some of the better ones. Now, of course, you can get these on Aliexpress for literally a few dollars a piece, but then you step up to ones like this from Strap Habit. Wait, I think Strap Habit. Yes, Strap Habit that I picked up. It does have a little bit of elastic in there. If I want to, I could cut this and I could turn it into a single pass, or I could also use it to run, the version that they call the, I guess, I don't know what they call that, but you run it through that first and it winds up being a single pass without cutting that off. And I will say, yes, you can tell a difference. The machining on the little keepers, a little bit nicer. The elastic, a little bit better. The finish and fit, yes, the quality is there. Strap Habit charges you a little bit extra, but I will admit I do believe it is worth it. Now, there are the others that come into play when you talk about these. For example, this is coming out of Erica's Originals. Totally different system. And I'm going to do a separate video on these because I think it deserves its own little microcosm of information. But Strap Habit was one that I found to be excellent. Very good quality, definitely a very good selection, very impressive. Now, there are some that I picked up that are the classic old school NATO. I have had this strap since 2014. This thing looks brand new. I bought it on Amazon. It is a no-name strap. There's no insignia on it. There's nothing. I've been wearing it on a SKX 007 for many, many years. It is very thick. It's thicker than all of the other ones. The metallic keepers here are massive. They are very thick. I wouldn't say heavy, but it's definitely a cumbersome wear. If that's what you're into, that's great. I wore this for many years. I loved it. I looked back into pictures of what I was wearing in the day, and you can see the way that sat right there on my wrist. I thought it was great for a long time. That thing's like brand new. It is well over 10 years old. I'm blown away by the quality of that. Now, at the same time, I picked up a single pass. This is just a very simple black NATO strap. It's a little bit thinner in material, but you can see the difference because it does not have that little keeper. The idea is that keeper will keep the watch from sliding off whenever you remove it from your wrist. And if I had an example of, what do you know right there? I do have that same watch. This is my Seiko SKX 007 that I have had since about 2013, give or take. And this is the watch that I wore on this particular very thick NATO strap. It was great all those years. This came originally on the very original SKX 007 rubber strap, and it's famous. It's all around. It's not a very soft rubber. However, it is something I don't know that I really needed. I really love the idea of changing out this watch onto different straps. So, what do you have here? This is a NATO strap made by Zulu Diver. And I will say, of all the ones I have tested, the best of all of them has been Zulu Diver when it comes to NATO straps. They have multiple types, multiple styles. Their website is very deep with the ranks of different types of straps, thickness of straps, and styles of straps. This is the Cadet. And I think they call it 1973. British watch strap cadet. So you can obviously get it with different, you can get satin or polished finish on all of the keepers and the clasp. This one in particular is, I believe, satin. It appears to be. Honestly, I really like the color. I just thought it was interesting. Again, like I said, I wore it for many years on many different straps. Let me try that on for you real quick. Today I'm wearing the Christopher Ward Trident Pro. That's a 642 millimeter. And I'm trying out these sailcloth straps. I think they've got a great look to them and they're very comfortable, but review to be assessed later. And let's put this bad boy on, this Zulu Diver. Nothing difficult about putting them on and changing them out. I will show you what this one looks like briefly. We will. Let me just put that on. And, well, there we go. Strapped it on. Of course, you're going to want to stick this through the little keepers. Both of them, I fold it over to, you can fold it over to the outside or to the inside, either way. I don't know that it matters. I like the look of that. I love the way that looks. I just recently put a video out with the wrist roll on that. And again, this watch is well over 10 years old. Still looks great, works great. It's, of course, a Seiko. And, well, there you go. There you have it. The style, very easy to get along with. Very well put together. The Zulu Diver, the thickness of the straps is just, it's just perfect. It's not too thick, not too thin. It keeps its shape, but it also is malleable enough to be comfortable. Here's the way you change your strap. It's very simple on these. Pull this out. You literally just pull the NATO strap through. You don't have to worry about whether you have drilled lugs or not. We will look at any other 22 millimeter. Let's say we want to swap it with something that is, oh, let's go with that strap, have it with a little bit of elastic to it. You just run it through the top. There it is right there. This is a single pass, of course, very simple. Takes just a few seconds, as a matter of fact. Everybody varies on where you want it, how far you want it up top versus the center or right in the middle. I like it about there. I don't mind a little bit of material on the outside of my wrist. Some people don't like that, so I don't know. That part is up to you. Your mileage may vary, as they say. However, the reality is it's so easy to thread it into this strap and change it so that you can swap it out for any color, any texture, any size, any shape. I'm blown away. And there you have it right there. Now it's on one with a little bit of elastic. Now, of course, we'll want to tuck that down. I think I like to tuck that down inside. And I will say that if these keepers are not thick enough to tuck that in, what I have done is put a little wide screwdriver under there. Just expand that a little bit. Fits right in, no problem. Well, there you go. Totally different look. Actually, that looks really sharp. And the elastic ones, I will say again, are so comfortable. Yes, I will admit it's a little bit like wearing a, I don't know, people would say maybe a diaper on your wrist, but wow, can you imagine? It's just, you don't even feel it. I don't like the elastic with watches that are very hefty. If it's very big, very heavy, I mean, this is about as heavy as I would go. Some of these other ones, well, for example, Christopher Ward, perfect for wearing with this. This is the 600. The 300 will go great, I do believe, on a elastic. And I do have a GMT 300, which is awesome for that. But so smooth, doesn't go anywhere. Can hardly feel it on there. Not much material on the outside of the wrist, and I don't know if I can get a shot of that, but I am very impressed. Well, there you go. My views on NATOs. There you go. Thanks for watching.